Ukrainians were around here somewhere pushing through. Meanwhile, Canada is helping Costa Rica. Sorry, Canada's helping Costa Rica against Panama, also allowing them to secure more of the territory down here in the south. And in fact, Canada have taken the whole lot, helping them defend the Panama Canal. And this also means that Canada is no longer at war. And that's a big deal, because that means that Canada might actually be able to start sending volunteers and stuff to the United States and hopefully help them out a little bit as well. Or possibly try to intervene. Meanwhile, the PSA versus the AUS, that seems to be more or less a stagnant front. CSA is doing their best, but the writing is kind of on the wall, especially for this area. And once the USA has taken that, they are going to have a lot more industry at their disposal. Taking New York, taking Philadelphia, taking Boston, those are all big deals. And that's going to be significantly helping the US side, but that's such a bad civil war so far. Meanwhile, Bulgaria has finished the Balkan powder keg war, and they are now starting to take everything. They didn't pop it. Or are they going to release now? Have they changed their mind? We'll need to come back and have a look at this and see if they do start to release territories. Right, Kaiserreich is supposed to take all the territory and then split them out as part of the event. I remember now. Yeah, okay, fair enough. We'll click away so we don't interrupt any of this. And he is indeed dropping all the territories. Meanwhile, the Ottomans definitely starting to be pushed. They have consolidated all of the territories through the Sinai. There are a couple of remnant Ottoman forces down in the Medina-Messina area. League of Five Provinces capitulated by Fentiang. That's a disappointment. I think the Reichspakt should have tried to help them more. If I was Germany, I would have been feeding them guns. Because they have the manpower for it. It just takes a while for China to get their industry going, so if you're feeding them guns, then they can churn out units.
Good.
Hello.
Can you answer a question for me? Because no one can answer this question for me. In words, you know, the show of force, Union Britain Tree. What does the diplomatic campaign event do? Because I've never done that event before. What does it do?
Where, sorry?
UB focus tree.
Yes.
Under show of force, words. There's an event that says diplomatic campaign. Does that instantly flip Ireland to Cindy? Or what happens with that?
Don't know. Chat, do you know? I mean, there is a stream delay, so it'll take them a minute to answer. Chat may know. War or word. So war definitely is an instant declaration. Words, I think maybe decisions, which then increase relations or something, and then eventually gets them on your side, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Fuck it. War is.
Okay. Decision made. Okay, so he's going after Ireland. Clearly got some naval preparations in place, ready to undertake this offensive. Jolly good. This would be a perfect moment for Bulgaria to go after the Ottomans. And in fact, if we take a look at them, I am sure that we'll see a lot of Bulgarians on the borders. And indeed we do. Now, one of the game rules is justifications are always enabled. Is Bulgaria getting justifications? No. Are they doing it through a focus? Not seeing it right now. But I am sure that that's something that they're going to be doing. Meanwhile, Iran is pushing into the Ottomans. Baghdad is still holding out. Oh no, Baghdad's fallen. Baghdad's Iranian now. Interesting. Meanwhile, Baratia. It does look like the Dominion of India is pushing more through Bengal than trying to go for these areas. Considering how badly they're outnumbered, well actually I guess there's forts and stuff here, which would make taking this area harder, plus all the rivers. And Baratia just doesn't have enough troops to cover all of this. So I think what Dominion's doing is they're going to try and secure all of this, and then just have Baratia completely surrounded, and then just squish. I mean, that probably wins the game for CoPro, right? Russia plus unified China. Possibly. It's going to make Reichspakt situation a lot more difficult. If Reichspakt actually does win in America, and I've still got my money on them, then if they'd kept League of Nine Provinces plus the USA, I think Reichspakt versus CoPro would have been the main war. Now that they are going to be lacking bases in the Far East, they still have German East Asia, but that's a lot smaller now, rather than, you know, having a foothold in China. It's going to be a lot more difficult for them to resist. And there we go. CSA have finally capitulated to the USA and others. USA is taking territories there. Are they going to be able to take everything?
Be ready.
What was that?
We're having a
Okay. No problem. So the USA did manage to take the whole of northern parts. They are going to be benefiting from the CSA territories. AUS is going to be taking the St. Louis area once they backfill that. They should definitely be able to do it. That is going to give the USA access to a lot more industry. They now have 81 factories. AUS is 75. PSA is 8. No, that's not PSA. PSA is 61. So the USA does now have the most factories, so in a war of attrition they would win. How's their manpower? 1 million. So that has radically changed the situation here in the north. And we shall see what that means. Although, obviously, AUS is moving in. USA is having to shift forces very, very quickly. A lot of force marching going on. Which does make sense. Cuba's just joined the Reichspakt. Cuba joined the Reichspakt? Okay, so I think that Germany should now be sending a lot of Lend-lease to the AUS. Support the AUS. Help them beat the United States. Maybe try to make some kind of agreement with the CoPro to focus on the Entente. Because the Entente has a big navy, which Japan's going to be concerned about. And also, this will deny them the USA, which is one of their major powers. They also have Cuba, which is going to be a base against the Caribbean Federation. And the Reichspakt is suddenly a really, really big power in the Americas. Really big power in the Americas. Yeah, I think the Entente have stumbled probably too hard. Reichspakt is still very much in. Third International still in. How's this going to change things for them? If CoPro take East Indies, then that's going to give a source of rubber and fuel for the International, which the Reichspakt is going to want to deny and the Entente is going to want to deny. There just isn't as much overlap between those two. I think that giving up too much of America to the USA as the CSA was a mistake. Because I know we heard Britain saying, yeah, we want you to take Detroit, we want you to take Detroit. I think that squishing a player out of the game would have been better for them. But we'll see if that still happens. Obviously, there's an enormous American offensive going on. The battle plan has been enabled. The armies are disgusting. Let's not look at that. Meanwhile, the AUS is holding. They're going to be doing a ton of damage because of the unmitigated offensives currently being carried out against them. Fentiang, meanwhile, continues to gobble up China unopposed. That's a mistake. Yeah, the Reichspakt definitely stumbled not supporting League of Nine Provinces more. But then again, there wasn't a huge amount they could do because the League of Nine Provinces, 8 provinces, 5 provinces, had abandoned that front. What can you do if they abandon the front? I mean, we saw that in the test game yesterday, where Germany abandoned the front against France. And it was up to mighty Poland to hold the line. So Fentiang's just taken out Kunming. It's probably going to be on the Entente to bring some pain to the co-prosperity. Yeah. I mean, the Reichspakt could still do it. the Entente is now really reliant on India. And this war is taking a long time. And they're not getting any reinforcements from their allies. I don't know if they're allowed to. They may not be allowed to. Meanwhile, this war is still ongoing. Union of Britain declares war on Ireland. And I want to see this naval invasion. Go on, impress me. There we go. Dominion of India has taken out Baratia. So now Baratia can start preparing itself for being surrounded by Russia and Fentiang, which is co-prosperity. And the Entente is going to have to fight very hard without a USA to hold on to that. And if Co-Pro takes India, then it is over. Co-Pro are the finalists from last year. Yes, they are. And yeah, sorry about the minute delay, but it is kind of necessary for these types of games. It is competitive, there are prizes. Okay, so Union of Britain has managed to land. They are getting a surround on Belfast. They are naval invading Belfast and starting to hit it. Belfast, meanwhile, is actually pushing out, which is weakening that militia and allowing the naval invasion to be a bit more forceful. And yeah, this is a successful naval invasion. Hunan has capitulated. How's this looking for Ireland? Is Ireland going to get any support? No. Oh no, they got volunteers. Ukraine! Mighty Ukraine is sending volunteers to the Irish. I'm loving Ukraine. Ukraine is such a plucky underdog. They're great. Ironhide wants me to drink some tea. Cheers. I need to refill that, and hopefully my tea is still relatively warm. Update, it's not. I think I need to go and make a new pot soon. It's one of the downsides to the Kaiserreich Weekly games. They don't believe in breaks. Words. Union of Britain gets 3 options. Full annex, demand puppet, or just military access. Full annex is a 5% of AI Ireland. Accepting puppets 35, military access 70. If AI refuses, you get a war goal. Gotcha. Good to know. Oh, I know what you were talking about, Effa, with the surround. No, that was after the CSA made a peace deal. This bit of territory, I think, was CSA, so it went to the USA, even though AUS basically had it occupied, so they just needed to reoccupy. I don't think there are actually any troops in that. Oh, they're even using the bad Marshall front line. Honduras has capitulated. Ireland has capitulated. 2 peace deals on the same day, in the same hour! There goes Ireland. Now, part of the question is, did Ireland do many of their industrial tax? Because it can actually be in Britain's interest to take Ireland as late as possible, so that Ireland can do as many of their industrial upgrades as possible, and they can really industrialize. It doesn't look like they have. Every team has the opportunity to take a 2-minute break. Okay. But the USA is now pushing hard pretty aggressively against the AUS. And has a lot of green bubbles. Huzzah! So they do seem to be successfully pushing. They're not using the push on the front, which they're not allowed to do. Meanwhile, Fentiang is fighting and gobbling up the Guangxi government. Is Guangxi being supported? This was the last remnant of the Entente defences here, basically. They are getting expeditionary forces from the Hunan clique. That's it. So, no. The Entente have basically given up any opportunity to take China. So China has fallen. Co-Pro has China now. So the Far East is entirely theirs, and that's going to be putting a bucket load of pressure on India. Big land border. Big land border. Although this one is very difficult to push, admittedly. In fact, both of them are. Especially if you start defending just the entries. Although pushing through this is probably a little bit easier, although then you're met by these mountains. Intentional breaks. The rehost server's on intentional breaks. Yeah, well, the rehosts don't really help me because I need to stay at the computer so I don't get the observer bug. Because I need to be there for as soon as the game goes up again. I'll stop looking at their terrible army composition. Even the AI does it better. Yeah, it does look like the AUS is being pushed pretty hard. They still have a very large manpower pool. Whereas USA still has a pretty large manpower pool. The ones who are going to be struggling is going to be the PSA. 600,000. They're still in the fight. They still got it going. And it looks like the volunteers are up here starting to push against the USA in the north. Although the AUS has done a pretty good job pushing north as well, which potentially will cut off the Pacific states. Which I think for them is a mistake. You kind of want to have this border as big as possible between these two, because then they're fighting each other instead of against you. Meanwhile, AUS pushing up towards or through Frankfurt and Louisville. Being attacked on all angles by the USA though. It is a lot of green. They are getting a lot of green bubbles. AUS troops are definitely not as strong as you may otherwise think. I'm not entirely sure why. Because unlike the USA, they've actually got fuel, though that probably doesn't matter as much. There goes Guangzhou and Hunan. Vientiane grows ever larger. It's the annoying thing being the commentator sitting on the outside. There are so many things we're like, do this, do that, do this, don't do this, don't do that, do this. But then again, I also have the advantage of seeing everything. Yep, still doing it. It's gotten better, but he's still doing it. He's also pumped out a lot of troops in a hurry. Is he getting a lot of Lend-lease? He must be. Lend-lease. Getting a lot of fuel from Canada. And some guns. Oh no, he's getting 60% of Australasia's output still. Yeah, Australasia sent them 4,500 rifles so far. That's where USA is staying alive, but they are wasting a lot of guns from Australasia. Whereas the AUS isn't getting any. They've got the volunteers, but they're not getting any guns. And then the PSA is getting guns from Russia. Russia is sending them... Oh no, they're getting support equipment. They're getting one support equipment. Oh, that's an exploit. But they are getting volunteers from Russia, Japan, and Siam. Meanwhile, Iran is pushing pretty aggressively against the Ottomans. Bulgaria has taken Thrace. They are preparing to push on again. They're still at war, so they have not peaced out for just the Thrace area and Constantinople, which I think is one of the options they get. It's like, do you want peace now or do you want to keep going? UBD is dead. UBD. Don't know who UBD is. Hey, Miss Donny. Oh, you did raid. Hello to Miss Donny's raiders. How are you guys doing? I think we can look at production after World War II starts. Yes. Which is why I'm not looking at technology either, because technology can give you a really good idea of what different people are producing and aiming for. And I'm also a little bit reluctant to look at focuses for the same thing. So like looking at what they're doing on the map is fine, but diving a bit too deep into focuses and stuff, no. Curious for when this naval invasion's going to happen. Oh, I wonder if it's because they need naval superiority to do it, and his dockyards have been disused the entire game. Oh no, he's got a navy. He does have a little navy. He should be able to do it. That's what he was waiting for. That makes sense. Oh, United Baltic Duchy. Yes, United Baltic Duchy is indeed dead. So the Reichspakt again failed to defend that. I'm a little bit surprised that the SRI has not gone after Two Sicilies. Where's that bit? Can't do that. I don't know enough about the SRI focus. Okay, I think they need to do military build-up, then they can go for Risorgimento. So they're working towards it. So we are going to start seeing SRI starting to push out towards Two Sicilies, the Pope, and possibly Italian Republic, if, and in fact they're planning that, if the Italians aren't being guaranteed by the Austrians, which they're not. Anything big happened since 1936? Yeah, several things. One of the weakest USAs I think we've ever seen. China almost went Reichspakt, and then Fentiang made a massive comeback because nobody bothered helping Qing out, even though Qing was going to be one of the main resistors to Fentiang. And then AI, League of Nine Provinces, really screwed up and forgot to garrison their borders against Fentian. Dominion of India has secured more of India. Indochina absolutely demolished German East Asia in their independence war. And I mean demolished. They killed every single division except for one. And considering the manpower issues German East Asia has, I don't think they're going to recover from that. I don't think they can. No, maybe they can. They have divisions in the field again, but they've got to be at, like... No. Prussian thought volunteer only. They have recovered. Actually, remarkably well. Huh. I stand corrected. And somebody was joking earlier about the German East Asia tanks being sent to Germany. Don't joke about that, because they do actually have Rommel. Rommel is in German East Asia in Kaiserreich. Although he's not as good with tanks in this as he is in vanilla. Is anybody helping the Ottomans? Yo, wow, yeah, loads of people are. So, Russia, Indochina, Japan, and Siam are all assisting the Ottomans. Probably because they realise if the Ottomans fall, that's going to allow Bulgaria in. And in fact, look what they're guarding. They're guarding the crossings. So they know what's coming. And they know what they need to defend against in order to stop the Reichspakt taking Anatolia and gaining a lot stronger. What game is this? Is this game 3? No, this is game 4. Can I have a look at the Indian resistance settings? I think they're going to have an occupation nightmare now. Yes, that I can do. Local autonomy everywhere. So, no, they're fine. Nepal's getting a bit angsty. Baratia potentially could, but I think they're okay. Like, local autonomy is not a very high level. Fentiang declares war on Markleek, and South Africa has their civil war. And this is Fentiang attacking Markleek, who's been fighting against Mongolia forever and a day. Meanwhile, USA are starting to push into the American Union state. So the comeback is beginning. It's been a long time coming, but it is beginning. Meanwhile, the PSA have actually secured the northern sector here, meaning that their front line against the USA is absolutely tiny at this point. They are still pushing the US back, probably trying to relieve some of the pressure on the AUS. Meanwhile, PSA is pushing against the AUS, but that is AI. I'm not seeing where their volunteer units are. PSA does still have volunteers. They are still getting their 1 unit of support equipment. Nope, still can't look at that. Ugh. USA are driving themselves into the ground with these constant attacks. But the I don't understand why the AUS is doing such a bad job defending. I think it is literally the fact that Australasia has been sending so many guns to the USA that they're just out-producing the AUS. Although the AUS's unit strength is still not that low. Air support? Air superiority, maybe? Nope. Nope, I don't know. Very strange. I don't get why they're being so successful. Planning preparation?
Pushing them back, sir.
Nope. Despite having a planning prep of 70, they're not using any. Ow. I don't know what makes my head hurt more, the fact that I just thumped my desk, or the USA playing. Yeah, Rick T, please don't be watching this if you're involved at all. You shouldn't be here. Because this will show you information about how different factions play. So please go away. Does the AUS still have their debuffs? AUS debuffs. No. They even have reform plans in place. And fighting for America! What about USA? Do they have any further buffs? Fighting for America. Attaches. Craig plan reforms. Ooh, that is giving them big buffs. Yeah, max planning. Which they're just not using. Ah! Alright, so Dominion of India is now starting to garrison the borders against Fentiang, unsurprisingly. Not so many against Russia at this point. Probably because they're expecting Russia to be very busy with Germany and Ukraine. In fact, we haven't really taken a look at the Ukraine yet. We probably should do so.